Come on and try me if you want, nigga. Yeah, try me if you want, nigga.
And this is Baron and Sadist. Back
What's
again.
up, guys?
How's
Yo,
everybody
it's your
doing
boy
this
Baron
fine
Yam.
evening?
Good. I'm just winding down for the night, but I have some time to talk about some red pill shit. So hopefully y'all ready to talk about some good red pill shit.
Yeah, I'm ready.
This one's gonna be about double standards, and the first double standard I like to mention will be the fact that because it happens to me a lot because I'm a young guy, and we get if you're a young guy in MGTOW, you probably get called gay. So you know you got to know the double standards that exist in order to like understand why this is happening to you. Yeah, you can't
True.
exactly do a whole lot about it, and this is what I think the theme about this episode is going to be too is like when to fold. Because I heard somebody today, they told me, real niggas never fold. And I was like, that's true until, the one time you never fold is when you get checked and then you get your ass handed to you basically.
Yeah, then you realize that
Like
you
if,
probably
if
should fold it.
like if you choose not to fold uh against Sifu with a Cali stick, like he's gonna hand you your ass.
Literally.
He's gonna
And
hand
the sad part about that is that whole entire thing is actually false because we live in a day and age where, these motherfuckers that talk about real niggas don't fold. These are the same niggas that wear a tattoo that says loyalty on it and they have very little to no loyalty whatsoever. So it's one of those
hmm
things where like you have to understand who the hell's actually trying to send you this message is pretty much how it works. It's like, really, dude, you're gonna tell me that real niggas don't fold, but this is the same generation that'll turn around and snitch on a bunch of motherfuckers, 6ix9ine style, right? We don't fold
Exactly.
though, but we ready to snitch so we won't have to serve as much time as everybody else. Because that makes sense.
Well, it's this bullshit law of attraction strategy that people have where they don't really have any idea of how to improvise or think quickly or creatively on the fly. So they kind of just post up with this law of attraction bullshit where they're like, if something goes good, they're like, oh, the universe allowed that to happen to me. I'm so fortunate. But then they don't plan. And then more bad stuff happens to them for them to justify something good out of it. So it's
True.
like you said, they post a lot of things just so that they can potentially bring them into existence when they're not willing to actually do the work to actually bring those
And the
things.
sad part about that is there's a difference between, the laws of attraction and just dumb luck. It kind of goes back to that one quote where they say, a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again, basically.
hmm
So it's one of those things where it's like it's not the universe; it's more or less just dumb luck, and people seem to mistake that. Or like my favorite is love at first sight. Do I believe in love at first sight? No. Do I believe in some laws of attraction? Yeah, but that's not the same as what they believe in or what they're trying to preach. For all intents and purposes, it's usually something different. It's like one of those things where it's like, okay, y'all weren't interested in each other, and all of a sudden y'all started talking to each other, and the more y'all start talking, now you start being attractive to that person, or you do something that person happens to see. Now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this person's attracted to you. So typically, when it comes down to the laws of attraction, I think it's bullshit for those reasons. Because like typically, I was talking about a date that I was on when I was actually driving, and a dude tried to rob my car at gunpoint, and I stabbed his hand into my fucking door panel basically, and I took and zip tied his hands. And before that, the woman wasn't attracted to me, and she was on her phone and she was ignoring me. And all of a sudden, now after that incident, all of a sudden now she's attracted to me. So it's one of those things where it's like laws of attraction are bullshit. If shit like this could happen under certain circumstances, and all of a sudden she's attracted to me. So it's one of those things where it's like, was it really the laws of attraction, or was it something that that sparked interest at that moment in time? Because people always say, well, if a woman's not interested in you, she's not interested in you. But the minute you actually go and do something, or you demonstrate something that's out of the clear blue that that she doesn't think is your character, or she thought she knew you, basically, it's one of those things where that whole entire dynamic actually shifts and changes.
Or like
It's
the
typical
same
of them.
double standard where they say that, people, and I always use these examples, and forgive me for not being too verbose, but they take like Russell Wilson, like a guy who's propelled into fame because of his skills in sports, and they
Hmm.
try to take take that whole archetype and create a model for like that's how a man ought to behave. However, if you're just
Isn't
a
he
normal
dating?
Joe
Isn't he
Blow,
dating somebody else's sad piece or baby mama though?
he's taking care of Future's kids.
Yeah, see, yeah, he's not. No, he's not that archetype, and that's typically the type of shit I'm talking about. Like all these archetypes that everybody try to paint, they try to say, "Oh, this person's the great person," but he's raising somebody else's child. This is typically what we talk about in the manosphere. Why are you going to raise somebody else's child, and how are you going to raise somebody else's child, and then be trying to say that you're that archetype or this person's that archetype. And this is typically where those false idols come up and come into play when it comes to various people in the manosphere, especially the black pill, the emo black pill community, where they talk about, well, Tom Cruise this and Brad 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 Pitt this. Is like, you do know they got surgery done, right? Well, that's besides
Sure
the point.
thing.
No, that is the
And
point.
then if you're
It's not
just if
besides
you're
the
just
point.
an
It is the point.
average if you're an average Joe Blow, then you're just not using the laws of attraction properly to
Yeah,
attract the right
like,
job,
and
attract the right girl,
yeah, and the sad
or you
part
need to
about
go
the
out and find yourself, and then
oh,
you
definitely, because there's a lot of people that
disconnect.
that weren't up for, like, that weren't up for being CEO. Like I said, there's a few CEOs that weren't up for being CEO because they were short and they simply got their leg extension surgery and now they're CEO. Or another good example of doing that is if you go out and buy a new car and start
Yeah.
taking care of yourself with new suits and a new car, basically, get a new car, get a new haircut, get some suits. People start looking at you differently for all intents and purposes when it comes to things like this, which is typically how it works. So when it comes down to it, they're paying more attention to you because now you have this air of confidence about you now. It's typically where it says, the suit makes the man, or the clothes makes the man, or the haircut makes the man. It's pretty much a true story. So if you actually do
Hmm.
something, it changes your whole entire outlook on life for all intents and purposes when you start looking at taking care of yourself or doing stuff for yourself.
Right.
Like
Right.
a
And
good
I think
example of that
like
is, like,
yeah.
here's a matter of fact, a good example. We always talk about haircuts. I bet any money when you go get a haircut, you feel a lot different than you do when you don't have a haircut. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
feel like you
Like
you feel like you can
I
mac
don't
you,
even.
you feel like you can mac and pick up any girl in the fucking world after you get a haircut. Am I right or wrong? You
True
feel like
story.
you on top of the world. See, and that's just it. It, like, you don't even need to pay people to get you some
To
false
teach you how
confidence.
to some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, to do some
Right.
bullshit when you can actually just go get your hair cut and you be perfectly fine. Because the sad part about that, every man feels good after his hair gets cut, unless the hairstylist or the barber fucks up his haircut. But typically that can be fixed with another barber or hairstylist, basically.
Yeah. Like. And yeah, I mean that kind of is a huge double standard. Is that
Yeah,
if a man doesn't want to work on his looks, then women look at him like, how can he live like this? How can he cut back so much and not spend so much time on like how he looks? But if a woman does that, then she has to be seen as like stunning and brave.
yeah.
You
That's the sad part about that, because it's funny. It's funny how all these people talk about all these Hollywood stars and all these people, when in fact they basically went out and did the same damn thing that you're not willing to go do with your life. Go get some surgery done. Because Brad Pitt didn't look like that growing up. Tom Cruise didn't look like that growing up. And everybody always talks about the Goodies and they talk about all this other shit and they talk about all this shit, and I laugh at them because it's basically when I talk about when I laugh at women about eyelashes and eyebrows. Basically, when a woman be like,
know.
"Oh, I like your eyebrows," or "Do you get your eyebrows done?" No, I wake up like this every fucking day. My eyelashes are like these every day. My eyebrows are always on fleek like this every day. I don't need to brush them, motherfuckers. They just there. And it's typically the same thing when it comes to the gloidials. I actually have those same gloidials that they do, and I didn't even need surgery to get it. So your point.
What, what
And
about
the sad part about
the canthal
it's
tilt, the hunter eyes,
well,
that
and the
whole
sad part
thing?
about that, I do have the hunter eyes, and the sad part about that is it's typically how I walk through life every day, all day, every day, and it's typically I always walk through with the hunter eyes. I'm always like squinting for all intents and purposes because I typically have like a light sensitivity. So it's one of those things where I'm always squinting any fucking way. Um,
Mm.
so the hunter eyes really don't bother me too much because I'm always squinting and always have the piercing eyes. Especially when I'm walking out in public, I typically keep the same different look from what I do in the videos. I'm always squinting
Hmm.
because I never really had
Oh,
the big round. I never really been the big round eye guy.
big round eyes. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
can I can kind of be piercing, but I think sometimes, yeah, because I have kind of like the almond shape, and sometimes it cannot look right. But it's
Yeah,
typically like one of the things that I don't really pay attention to, and that's kind of why that is why I have the situation that I do with women and everything like that.
yeah. Because
And
typically, I would say to that, like, if you're worried about having the piercing eyes, just look at it like this. You know what the resting bitch face looks like?
hmm
Just walk around like that all day. Just walk around with resting bitch face all day. You'll pretty much
hmm
have the piercing eyes.
yeah, I would agree that that's like if you have more stoicism, that would probably
Yeah,
add to your
yeah.
add
Because
to your
my one coworker used to tell me I got male resting bitch face. Okay, thanks.
and that's
That
another
just that,
thing
that
too.
just lets everybody know I don't take no shit and I'm a no nonsense person. That's
That's
all
another
that
thing
is.
too. Like a lot of people are always, especially effeminate men and women, they always are critiquing men on how their images or how they should move. When I mean they have no reference point for how a man actually lives their life because they all live according to the whim of gynocentric society. I mean, whatever's cool, they basically adopt, and then uh, and they basically attract that kind of stuff into their life. Meanwhile, men who are kind of more rugged individualists, they take time early in life to find themselves, and then once they find themselves, then they have like their own sense of style, their confidence, everything kind of locks into place, and you don't I don't know you don't really have that in a majority of cases. Although a lot of people
Hmm.
like to brag that people who get a lot of easy poon or something like they like to brag like that's how it is, but they're really just one they're really one rug sweep away from being the same way as all the other guys.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much good. Pretty much for everybody, even all the people that are always pump themselves up to pretend like they're bigger and better and all this in a bag of chips. They're pretty much one rug pull away from being less than the next person or the person that they're trying to act like they can teach to do these things. And the sad part about that, you really don't need this. All you need is a haircut, a new suit, and some new clothes, basically. And that's about it. It's like you don't really need much to spend much money on it. Because the sad part about that, I always say that money that you spend on that shit, that $5,000 you spend on this shit, you could take like a third of a tenth of that and go spend it on a haircut and some new clothes, and you'll feel better about yourself. Because everybody feels better when they walking out in their new clothes, looking fresh to
Oh
death for all
yeah,
intents and
oh
purposes.
yeah. Like the thing is, it's funny because like I haven't spent money on clothes in like God knows maybe a year,
Mm-hmm.
but all I
But
need
I
to
bet you
do
any
is
money if you
just
want to go buy some clothes, you feel
exactly
like you're the shit.
as soon as I buy new clothes, shave, and get a haircut and like take my braces off, like I'm gonna feel a whole lot, or just do any sort of paying attention to my looks. So
Well, the
then it's
sad part
like,
about that, you don't even have to take off your braces because the sad part about that, what I notice in America is typically the people who are worried about their braces the most typically ends up being like regular Americans, whereas Latinos, that's pretty much pride because that means you can afford to actually get some damn braces. So that's a
no,
status symbol basically in the
that
Latin
is it
community
is it is a status symbol for
because you can
sure,
actually
hundred
afford
percent.
that shit unlike most other people. So it's one of those things when it comes down to it. So typically in Latin culture, we're happy to have braces because that means our family can afford that shit. That means I'm better than all you who can't afford this shit for all intents and purposes. It's typically how that works. So that's a status symbol in a heartbeat. Hell, most Latin kids kill to have braces. I know Latin kids that
Yeah,
wear them and don't even need them.
yeah. No, wow, yeah, that's crazy. And I
Hmm.
I do I do pay for them, and like I do notice that it just shows that I care about myself enough to do that for myself, and
True.
it's just something that uh anytime somebody does that, and I'm trying not to be like super negative or anything. I'm just trying to formulate what I'm really trying to say. It's
What's
sort
up,
of
Big
like
Pound? What's up, Sifu? And no, we didn't have to put up with you. You're good, Sifu. You're always welcome, pimpin'. But go ahead, Gam.
Sifu is good. Sifu is in the military, so you know that he's gonna always come with like a high energy kind of
Hmm.
um keeping you on your toes type thing, because when all this shit, if this shit hits the fan, you're gonna have to be on your toes. You're gonna always have to be on that bleeding
Definitely.
edge. So he definitely gives people who are think that they're high and mighty a run for their money, because he's like, guess what? All your confidence and stuff ain't shit. And you kind of do have to humble yourself. But okay, so back to the first point. You have to realize why it's happening to you, right? So
Hmm.
you've chosen to go your own way. You have, so much more freedom to do what you want, but you have so much more to improve upon and learn, because you're not chasing after the indoctrinated stuff, the house, the car,
Hmm.
and everything. And because you're not chasing after that, people see you as having no ambition or being disorganized.
Hmm.
But one thing that you can use to your advantage is the fact that you're moldable, that you're changeable, that you're not set in your ways, that you're not
Hmm.
somebody who can't adapt because they have to be a certain way to take care of their girlfriend, their wife, their family, and so you stop justifying being stuck in a certain position because all the options are open to you. And
Hmm.
that coming from me. I mean, I did go to college, and people have reservations about college. But that's the thing too. Another double standard is that you can go to college and you can still be looked down upon. Whereas, like, if a woman goes to college, it's instantly a leg up
Yeah.
for her,
But the sad part
and
about that, while you're being
it's
looked
a
down
false leg
upon,
up.
it's like while you're being looked down upon, they're sitting there, we're talking about where have all the good men gone that's supposed to go to college, and I'm supposed to be marrying a guy coming out of college. Well, they're not going to school as much as you are.
Right. I mean, I was working throughout college, so you could say that I wasn't paying attention to my schooling as much. But what exactly does the schooling get you? I mean, the schooling, the books is not the whole entire part of the college experience. And I know that sounds terrible, because that implies that somehow socializing or being going or extracurricular activities are the main part of college, or
Hmm.
like a large portion of it. And I mean, it is to a certain extent. I mean, if you don't use any of your networks or connections back from when you went to school, because all those people are blue pilled, you can't blame yourself.
True. I mean, you can
Typically,
blame
it's
yourself.
how it
You
is.
can blame yourself. It's all about how. Because it's typically the same concept that I say about a lot of black people that complain about. Well, white people won't see us this way. What have you done for white people to actually want to see you in this light? For you want to see white people in this light? Have you made any necessary changes? Well, no. They should. No, it's not. They should. No. Have you made any necessary changes to do so for them to actually see you in this light, so they won't see you as animals or criminals? If you haven't, then you can't really complain
Hmm.
about white people you being treated the way you are in society when you act like animals. You can't act like animals and be expected to be treated like human beings.
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
simply one
You
of
get
those
what
many double standards that everybody try to go through and do mental gymnastics to get around for all intents and purposes that always stay steadfast on. You can't be an animal and then be expected to be treated like a human being.
Yeah, I mean, and they want men to act really docile so they can lean in, and they also want men uh to stand back so they can act like savages, so women can act like savages and just go around and conquering the cock here. So
And the sad part
uh,
about that, while men are standing back and women are getting fucked up, they want men to lean back in and save them, basically, because we're supposed to save women, but you're independent and we're all equal now. Why do I have to save you? Then I would get shamed for not saving her because I'm supposed to be a man and I'm supposed to be saving her. No, she shouldn't have put her dumb ass out there in the first place. It's not victim shaming. It's pretty much for every action there's a reaction. Just because you're a woman, that don't mean you can't catch the reaction of your reaction of what you created in the first damn place. If you're gonna do stupid shit, you're gonna win stupid prizes all the time.
hmm hmm yeah, true. I mean, men have definitely put themselves, like especially simps, have
Mm-hmm.
put themselves in a position to reap what they sow.
Mm-hmm.
And
Women have to.
yeah, true, true. And I mean, like, it's it's something that you can't do anything about. Like, I'm just like, I honestly keep trying to say the best thing you can do is just work on yourself, and focus on progressing your life one step at a time, and not trying to go for crazy radical decisions and stuff like that. Like that's something I could definitely um, that's something I definitely meditate on a daily basis. So because I don't have anything else to do. Like there's there's a thing about complicating your whole life that I think a lot of people get themselves into that makes it hard for them to like reflect. And I kind of get a dose of that by, doing working so goddamn much. It's like you don't really get a chance to think about what you're doing and like actually focus on it. You're kind of just always flying by the seat of your pants and just doing things just to do them. So another thing that would help is if you were to just like take a step back. If something is like getting under your skin, just try to understand why it's getting under your skin, and then you know
True story.
deconstruct it as much so it doesn't feel like it's like a huge weight on your shoulders. That's that, and then yeah, I guess we can move on to another double standard, which is the fact that women get to well, okay, so there's this thing about the black pillars. I think like somebody said, women are black. Women like are the people who black pill other people, but that's not really true. It's more so like men, feminine men that try to black pill people and drag them through the black pill and like try to force them to take black pills because there's just stuff that you don't know. There's stuff that you haven't experienced that you'll never experience
Hmm.
unless you go through me.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like one of those things where if a guy or if a man's telling somebody, hey, I can't tell you the truth about or I can't tell you this, I can't teach you this lesson. You're gonna have to learn it by yourself. You're gonna have to
Hmm.
go through it by yourself. And then people say like, oh well, then you're just cop out. That's a cop out. You're not answering the question. Or they're
Hmm.
saying like, oh, you're not. Well, you don't really know. You're just pretending. Or you're just they try to gaslight you because
Hmm.
you're not able to give them what they want immediately. So
Hmm.
it's like there's a lot of double standards in this instant gratification, which is like men automatically benefit to women this instant gratification age, but they never realized that when they said stand back, we want to be CEOs, we want to be STEM, we want to be engineers. Now they're all like Twitch stars and Instagram
Hmm.
models and freaking sugar babies. So it's like, what progress have you actually made? Meanwhile, men have been trying to make progress step by step in whatever industry they're in, and still we get thrown under the bus for being addicted to porn and addicted to um, like uh, freaking like Tinder or just dating. We benefit the most from online dating and stuff.
When the sad part about
And
that
it's
is,
true. It is true. It is
well,
true
no, it's
because
not.
like we do
It's not.
benefit.
It's not true. We don't benefit the most from online dating because what happens with that is
Mhm.
typically how it works is like they said with the statistics. Most of the all the women pretty much pick the top two, three, top three, 3 to 2, top 3 to 2 men basically. Percentage of men basically 30% of men for all intents and purposes. So anybody like eights, nines, and tens get picked basically for all intents and purposes. Anybody below that is pretty much seen as below average. Like think about that. So it's one of those things where women actually benefit from it because the sad part about that, we just literally watched a live stream yesterday where a dude was talking about how women literally how the one woman she's a big woman she basically does it for gratification. She don't necessarily she
Yeah,
basically looks
cancel
for
that's my
matches
channel.
and she gets happy based off all the
Hmm.
matches that she gets. She don't necessarily ever respond to them or talk to them. She's just happy that she got all these people that match with her. So it's
Hmm.
basically nothing more than an ego boost to women, whereas a man can't even get half. Like the most ugliest woman in the world. Matter of fact, there was a woman. Matter of fact, there's another a red pillar that actually made a profile of a woman on on Tinder, And she said she was ugly, she was fat, she had children, she had AIDS, she had hepatitis, and she was an addict, and she still got more matches than the average man, even the most attractive men. Like, let that shit sink
Yeah,
in.
and that's the thing. Like even like for me, if I keep my mouth shut, even if I'm like a little bit scraggly looking, like I do get validation thrown my way, but I don't benefit it as from it as much. And it's like the thing where it says because I'm being red pill, I get kind of and not being like on my purpose, wanting more for myself. I
Hmm.
kind of I kind of look upon it negatively whenever I get validation from
Well, the
women
question is,
because I'm like it's not what I that's not necessarily what I want at this moment, and it's like she gets to say anything you can do, I can do better,
well, it's
but
not even
she'll
just that
never.
because you're basically jumping over a whole entire section. You also got to take into consideration too. Women would typically say like, okay, they can touch you, but you can't touch them. Like, how's that work? Then you got women can say the most off the wall stuff to you, but you can't say the most off the wall stuff to them because then that's just sexual harassment and you're just wrong. But they can touch you, say the most sexual shit to you, and that's perfectly fine. You have to accept that because they're women. But the sad part about that is, like you said, we live in a fair society, equal society. So therefore, if I'm offended by something, I'm allowed to be offended by something. You can't shame me for being offended by you saying some shit that I know damn well if I was to say to you, you'd be offended by. Like, come on now, really?
Mhm.
So it's
And I
one of
mean,
those things.
different things offend offend the genders because like we could talk about sexual stuff openly, but they don't.
No,
It's stuff that
well,
they.
no, it's not the fact that it's not even that. It's more or less the fact that you run into many problems with people because they typically will try to pretend like they're offended, and even if they're not offended. And the sad part about that is, the question is why are they offended? Because it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter what the is. It comes up. It comes up as various different reasons on why they're offended by what you said. Like a good example is if you're not attractive enough, you don't meet that attractive threshold, they're probably going to be offended. However, if you're an unattractive dick, you can actually get away with it because you're a dick. You see what I'm saying? Whereas if you're an attractive nice guy,
If you look
you,
nice, yeah,
if you're an attractive
exactly.
nice
You
guy,
can't say the same things
you
as
couldn't
if
say you couldn't say
you're
that you couldn't
less
say the same
attractive.
damn thing that I could say if I'm a dick. And if you in like unless you're an attract, and the sad part about that, there's no such thing as an attractive bad boy because that's just bullshit. He's either an attractive nice guy or he's just an attractive guy. It's basically one of those things. It's pretty much all it really is. Because there's
Yeah,
really
true.
no such
I
thing as an
agree.
attractive bad boy. There's none. There's really none.
Yeah.
So I don't. That's basically like saying Jesus looks like Caesar Borgia. No, he doesn't. We'll just run with that, but he doesn't. And that's typically how this shit works. And it's one of those things where it's like they paint this false image of what these attractive people are. Then come to find out when you go look at these people, they soy boy cucks. Like a good example. I always talk about Jeremy Meeks. Oh, he got those 100 eyes and he's sexy and he's an alpha male, but he's dating washed up bitches though.
Hmm.
Everybody he's dated has been washed up bitches.
Hmm.
How you
And
gonna
they
tell
always
me that?
expect that.
Yeah, like how do you expect me to believe that he's an alpha male when he's dating washed up bitches? Like I've never dated women the same age as the women he dates ever.
Yeah, and they
And then turn
expect
around,
like
and then turn
the
around,
men to be
and then
better in in their profile in
yeah,
their real life
and
than
then
their
turn around
profile.
and baby mama them up. Like no, why would I want to date somebody and baby mama them up at that age? Like no, that's beneath me. And this is typically where you know that this nigga has no standards. Therefore, he's not an alpha male if he doesn't have standards, because typically alpha males have standards. And the sad part about that, if he actually was an alpha male, his ex wouldn't be taking him to court for child support. Let's just keep it 100. So it's one of those things. And typically, what I say, if you're going to talk about an alpha male in this day and age, a real alpha male in this day and age, the only one that I can think of off the top of my fucking head, and everybody should know him because he played in the NBA, is Magic Johnson. Anybody that could cheat on their wife, contract AIDS. Well, she wasn't. They weren't even, now, mind you, they weren't even married at the time. They were just dating. They were just together. The sad part about that is when he contracted AIDS, his wife stuck by his side, didn't divorce him. Matter of fact, she went on to get married to the man, and they're still married till this day. That is an
Hmm.
alpha male. Anybody that can contract AIDS and their wife stick around, even if she doesn't got AIDS, that nigga's an alpha male. Because Jordan can't even say that shit. Because Jordan done lost many wives, and he got taken to the cleaners
Okay,
multiple
yeah. I
times.
mean, that'd be something like Chad, Alpha, two completely different things.
Because the sad
Like
part about that, Magic
they
Johnson,
call it
and the
Alpha
sad part
Chad.
about that is like he's not even Alpha Chad. Because Magic Johnson doesn't look like a Chad or a Tyrone at all.
Yeah, he's like a unattract. He's more unattractive.
Yeah, my point exactly. But the sad part
Yeah.
about that is his wife stuck around with him by his side, despite the fact that he cheated on her multiple times and contracted AIDS. That was like a death sentence at that time. Not only did she stick by his side, she decided that she wanted to marry the man. Like, let that shit sink in. I'm sorry. If anybody if my significant other gets AIDS, just know this relationship's over. This relationship's over.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, like I think the only people who are really afraid of catching diseases and stuff, like they got to be like beta women and beta men. Like this
Well,
whole
no, it's not
entire thing
even.
is like
Well,
because
no, because
because
the
they're
sad part
being
about that.
deprived of their
Well,
sexual
no, because
because they
that's
use
just
sex
stupid.
to get most of the stuff
Well,
that they
well,
want.
no, because that's just stupidity. If you're not afraid of getting contracting diseases, then you're just being stupid because they still exist. Despite this, it don't matter how pretty you are. Because the sad part about that, the most attractive people in the world have most of the diseases. Like, think about that shit. So, why would I want to saddle myself up with somebody with diseases? Why would I want to date somebody who looks attractive but has Donga syphilis herpes AIDS? Like, think about this shit.
No,
And
I
it's
mean
simply
that's
one of those things.
obviously. I'm
And
not
it's one. I
saying
mean,
that you
even if
have
you
to
don't know, even if
go
you
out
don't know it,
chase after attractive.
if you worked in a medical field, you know this off the bat that there's a lot of attractive people. A lot of the attractive people are the ones who carry around all the sexually transmitted diseases. I'm
Well,
just
yeah, I
keeping it
mean
100.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like, well, I'm not trying to disagree with you. I'm just saying
And
that
the sad part about that, you got the plain
yeah.
people that don't really look like much, who actually have things like chlamydia or gonorrhea or syphilis and shit like that. All
Mhm.
the plain looking women typically are walking around with diseases too. And the sad part about that, the ugly women are walking around with diseases as well. So it's one of those things where like the more attractive women are walking around with diseases, the women in the middle are walking around with the least amount of diseases, and the
Well,
ugly women are walking around with a
it's
decent amount of
typically
diseases.
it's typically what I'm saying is it's typically these attractive males and these sub attractive women that are going around having sex and spreading all of these
Well,
diseases
no,
and
it's not
stuff.
even that
And
though, because
then it,
these same men have so low standards that they're willing to date anybody and everybody. So everybody's walking around with the same diseases if they fuck that person. It's typically one of those things, and this is typically why
Mhm.
men don't want to date women with a sexual past. Because if you bang all these people and you know that one person that they bang, why would you want to be in a relationship with that person, especially if you know that person had sexually transmitted diseases? Like, think about that.
Mhm.
Like this is typically why I say I don't date I don't date women who are dating my friends or my family. If you dated a friend or a family member or somebody that I know, I can't date you because
Mhm.
9 times out of 10 I know about their history. So I can't date you for this reason.
Right.
And it is what it is. And that's the double standards
Yeah.
that people got. And the sad part about that is when it comes down to double standards, when it comes down to sexually transmitted disease, a woman doesn't have to accept a man for having sexually transmitted disease, but a man has to accept a woman with sexually transmitted diseases. Just like
Yeah.
a woman doesn't have to accept a man with kids, but a man should accept a woman with kids. Like, think about this. And this is like more double standards that you have to deal with in your life. If you don't want to date a
Mhm.
woman, if you don't want to date a woman, you're gay. Even if you want to improve yourself or improve upon yourself or make yourself a better person, you're gay or you're afraid of women. But if a
Yeah.
woman doesn't want to date somebody, she wants to date like she wants to marry the fucking Eiffel Tower or a bridge or a fucking train or the Eiffel Tower Trust or the fucking what's it called,
Roller
an
coaster.
airplane or anything like that. Basically,
Mhm.
she's perfectly fine and she's seen as brave. Like, think about this stuff.
Mhm. Well, that's the same thing too. When you like men can actually make accurate generalizations about women because women fall under a smaller set of standard deviations.
Yeah, they do. And the sad
But
part about that,
but
men
but
are under a
women
broader
women
standard.
are encouraged. Yeah, women are encouraged to generalize men who fall in a wider set of standard deviations. Like you have way more crazy motherfucking guys and way more like very 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 uh like super almost like paralyzingly nice guys and stuff like that. But then all of them are whenever this like these women come on who are basically used to being ego boosted, they always say that all of them are trash, and they never really
Uh
take
huh.
the time to actually
Get to
sit and
know.
say like, wait, which parts are good and which parts are bad, and make compromise. Like they're never asked to compromise, and it's
Like a
kind of
good
like the
example that's
yeah.
like basically like I was saying, like most of the women that I meet, at first glance, I wouldn't be their typical run of the mill guy. Up until like up until all hell breaks loose or some shit hits the fan, then apparently I become the most attractive person in the room all of a sudden now. So it's simply one of those things when it comes to me. Like I'm not the most attractive person in the whole entire place, but I do a lot of shit that actually make people attracted to me or that draw people to me for all intents and purposes. So it's one of those things. If
Mhm.
you initially meet me, it's like, well, he seems like an average person, but then you start learning more about me, and then you start like then shit. Like a good example, something happened at a bar that I go to not too long ago. A dude literally came in about to rob the place basically, and the sad part about that, all these gangster ass niggas that these women go for were literally hiding behind stools.
Oh God,
They
he's
were
gonna
ducking and running.
die.
They were running like little
Oh.
bitches and shit like that. And I'm sitting in the middle of the bar, man, you at a table in the middle of the bar, just chilling with my feet up, basically, just watching TV on the one stool, just chilling, basically, cocked back in my chair, just chilling, taking up a lot of space, basically, like I normally do. So like my foot's on one of the stools and my foot's on the other stool, and I'm basically just sitting there with my arm on the back of the chair, just chilling, watching TV and shit like that, like I'm in a 40-40, like I'm Jay-Z at the 40-40 club and shit. So this guy comes in with a gun. All these gangster ass niggas duck and hide behind fucking bar stools and chairs and tables in the bar itself, basically. And the bartenders are sitting there hiding too. So all these gangster ass niggas that had guns are hiding on the other side of the bar, hoping that they don't get shot and shit like little bitches. And I was like the only person out in the open when the gunman came in the door. And I'm sitting there. He's like, all right, I'm gonna need everybody give me all their shit, break down on all their shit. I go, nah, nigga, I'm gonna need you to come sit down and have a drink. Because any nigga that's brave enough to do some shit like this, I'm willing to buy him a drink. And that's literally what I said to him. And
Right, right.
he's like, are you fucking serious right now? I go, yeah, I'm dead
Mhm.
serious. Come sit down and have a drink with me. Bartender, get him a drink, whatever the fuck he wants to drink. And I
And
literally
that's the
bought the
thing
man a
too.
drink.
Like
He
that's
literally, and
my
he still,
yeah.
the sad part about he said, you ain't gonna try nothing simple. I go, nah, nigga, I'm just drinking. I'm watching the game. I don't give a fuck what you got going on when there needs to be motherfuckers in the bar. I'm buying you a motherfucking drink. And I'm getting the fuck up out of here. That's all it really is to it. So what had happened was he had sat down at the bar. All these gangster niggas went back to sitting down, looking over their fucking shoulders like little bitches. And the bartenders hesitantly bought him a drink, basically. And I basically paid my tab. He was actually cool. He left the bar, and I basically left the bar shortly after. Basically, that nigga just needed attention. That nigga just needed some validation and attention. That's all he really needed. That nigga wasn't
Mhm.
finna do all this shit. I knew based on how this nigga was yelling and hooping and hollering behind me that he wasn't about that life. It is what it is. But all these gangster ass niggas that talk about how gangster they are and how knee deep they are in the game or they shoulder deep in the game, these little bitch niggas have dove behind the bar like somebody threw a grenade in her and shit like that. Like somebody threw a grenade right in the bar. These little bitch niggas jumped over the bar like little bitch niggas. And I'm just chilling
You
there.
know, I wish that yeah, I wish that like I'm like Peter Parker from the episode where he's in where Sandman like robs the bank and then instead of letting oh no when the robber robs the bank and then instead of stopping him, he just steps aside and lets him run out because it's like that's at this point like I've been so disappointed with like just with society and how like they treat men that it's like I'm really in no position to white knight or hero play hero for society
Yeah, I'm
and
not
like
willing to do it either. But the sad part about that, if I know a nigga's not gonna do no shit, I'll be happy to buy the nigga a drink. Cause I look at it like this: if you finna come up in a bar and rob the place, you a brave motherfucker for robbing the place while I'm in there. So therefore, I'm impressed. I'm gonna buy you a drink.
yeah and think about it like Peter Parker he has to he's basically like learning about his new powers that he got after being viciously bitten. He is trying to work for Doc Ock. He's trying to save the city for the things that he thinks are bad, and work the job with for JJ Jameson, and go to school. And yet MJ still thinks that he's like an ain't shit nigga.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's like that's exactly how men are treated, or at least young guys are treated. It's like you're not going to impress everybody. You're not going to, especially not women, because their standards are ridiculously high.
But the
Like if
sad
you're
part about that,
Spider-Man,
though,
you
the sad part.
got to be symbiote Spider-Man for her to acknowledge you.
Well, no, you didn't even got to
Like
be symbiote Spider-Man. The sad part about that is she's more attracted to Spider-Man than she is to Peter Parker.
no, exactly, right, yeah, exactly. She is,
And that's the sad part about
and,
that. And she don't even know. And for the longest time, she didn't even know that was Peter Parker. So Peter Parker ain't shit, but Spider-Man is the shit. But she didn't. If she
it's like you
only
were
knew
saying.
that Spider-Man and Peter Parker was one and the same, Peter Parker would be the shit. And that's simply how it works. So it's one of those things where
That's when her
Peter Parker at
instincts
first
kick
glance,
in.
Peter Parker at first glance ain't shit until he's doing some shit. Now he's a shit. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, and then I mean now you have in this society we have like I said, the whole archetype thing where women think about men who look good as always being on point until they get with them and realize that not only are they emotionally disturbed and abusive and capable of because of all the praise and stuff that they're given by society, but that
Yeah, because
they're
they act
incompetent.
like
They use
spoiled brats.
sex to get they use sex to get anything they want, just like women. Like
Pretty much, yeah.
they use sex to get a house. They use sex to get the ability to get a car. They use their sex appeal at work.
hmm The
They
sad part
never
about
have
that
to
is
learn
it's
any real skills.
they really aren't there learning any skills at all. And the sad part about that is the most attractive people are the least charismatic people.
Oh yeah, they're just like, oh,
Because you don't need to learn charisma when you're attractive. And that's typically how that shit works. And it's always been one of those things where it's like I never wanted to be the most attractive person in the room, or I never wanted to be one of the most attractive people in the room. I just wanted to be the most charismatic person in the room. Because I look at it like this: I don't care what that guy's doing. I know what that guy doesn't have, and I know how
exactly.
far that guy's not going to go in his life for all intents and
Just
purposes.
the
Because
more you put it out on Front Street, the more it shows people
yeah,
who are more like introverted, like what your flaws are. Because that's the thing. Whenever you send a message, there's always a backwards um, way that it makes you look. Obviously, you can shame people to make them feel a certain way, but it's always going to make you look like something to the person who's observing that situation.
and this is one of those things where like you got to take consideration too when it comes to double
Hence,
standards.
MGTOW. Exactly.
I'm an
Like,
asshole, so I necessarily don't really care what people think about me when stuff comes out of my mouth. It's like you either have to accept it or you got to cry about it. Choice is yours, or you can bitch about it too. I mean, it's up to you. Either way, it's up to you. I mean, it's like it bothers me none how you react to it because I'm going to get a kick out of it either way because I'm a
the point
sadistic
is
little
why,
bitch.
like you were saying earlier, the point is like why somebody reacts to something is more
Yeah, why
important to
you're
me.
reacting to it. Yeah, it's more important to me than it's more important to me than them actually just reacting. Why they're reacting to it and what they're reacting to is more important to me than why they're reacting to it. Or same difference basically. So it's one of those
Hmm.
things where it's like, why are you reacting like this? Obviously, there's something within you that you need to work on to better yourself.
Yeah,
Because the sad
sensitivities
part
like
about that,
my.
the most
Hmm.
attractive people, the most attractive men in the world are the most insecure men in the world. The most attractive women in the world are the most insecure women in the world. Because the sad part about that, the best way to actually knock a woman down a couple pegs is just act very nonchalant about shit. Just any woman, just act very nonchalant about it. Like, oh well, what do you think of it? It's all right, whatever. Just do that to a woman. Like
Hmm.
you don't have to be a total dick to the woman. You can just be like, it's all right. Well, he said it was okay. He said it was beautiful. That's him. He'll pretty much he'll pretty much fuck a cow basically, and that's simply how I treat men like that. Because you've seen that in that one server. He'll pretty much fuck a
Hmm.
cow. So his standards really don't mean shit to me. His standards are beneath me because I know he'd fuck a cow if you let him. And it's simply what it is. And that's pretty much how I see a lot of the men that these women always say, well, he said it was sexy. Okay, yeah, but this is the same nigga that said Hulk smash on everybody in a game of Smash or Pass, despite the fact that this ugly bitch look ugly as hell. And you know this bitch is ugly. And you don't want to admit that this bitch is ugly in the middle of this game, but you know this bitch is ugly. But he's willing to smash that in you. He has very low standards. He'll smash anything. And that's simply what guys are in this day and age. They're pretty much reduced to low ass standards and are willing to smash any fucking thing. Just like I said about the one dude in the one server. He's willing to fuck a cow if you let him.
Hmm.
That's how low his fucking standards are. Comparative to mine. That's actually how I see him. And it is what it is. I'm not being a jerk. I'm being honest. And if you don't like it,
Hmm.
I'm not being mean. I'm not emoting. I'm not none of that shit. I'm basically telling you how you look to me. You look like a little. You look like a little. You look like a little sweet bitch, basically. That'll fuck anything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a person, yeah, I mean, we pretty much just laugh at people who say that they'll screw anything instead of
Yeah,
seeing it like, yeah, you got a serious issue, dude. Like,
yeah.
and
You
everybody
really
likes to
got an
pretend like
issue.
it's not a problem.
You need. Well, then he go. What did he say to me? Well, I have standards. I turn down some women. Yeah, not enough. You don't turn down enough because if you did, you wouldn't be in the mess that you're in, and you wouldn't be dating the retarded ass bitches that you date. Because all the bitches you date are retarded as fuck. And I'm willing to say that about people. Well, I can't believe you're saying this. Oh, I am, and I will. Everybody knows who I am. Welcome to the club. My name is Tico Trend, bitch. And it's simply what it is. It's like, well, he goes, well, I can't believe you're acting like this. I go, everybody that I grew up with in the Caribbean and Latin America acts like this. What you trying to say? All people like that are like that? Yeah, we're ignorant motherfuckers. We're willing to tell you the
Yeah, and
truth.
that's the thing
Hell,
too.
what's the
Yeah.
hell? Matter of fact, Mexicans are notorious for it. A Mexican would actually laugh at your pain. If like a good example of that was with what's his name George Lopez said, if you can get electrocuted on an electrical fence, we're gonna bring that up as a point of contention to laugh at your ass later down the line. Typically how it works. We're dicks like that. We laugh at your
Hmm.
pain.
Yeah, you know that. I mean, a lot of Mexican or Latin community, they still laugh at men who can quote unquote go MGTOW, but it's because a
Well,
lot.
the
I feel
sad part
like a
about
lot
that
of
is the sad part about that is less
right,
Latin men actually laugh at men going MGTOW. More Latin men laugh at men who are fucking
who are
simps
made,
and
yeah,
who are
who
simps
fucked up
or
exactly.
or cucks. Basically, we're more likely to laugh at a simp or a cuck or a motherfucker that's being taken advantage of than we are to laugh at MGTOW. Because typically, most of the men pretty much act like MGTOW in the Latin culture. A good majority of the men act like MGTOWers, basically, for all intents and purposes, or red pillars. So typically, it's one of those things where it's like, when you start being simpish, we tend to laugh at you, especially when you get done dirty by a woman. We'll laugh at you even harder. It's simply what it is. So the Latin community is all about tough love, no matter how you like it or not. We're going to laugh at you. If you walk up to a woman and get turned down, we're going to laugh at you. This is going to be a point of contention that we're going to talk about and laugh at your face about. It's simply how it works.
Yeah, the Billy. I was looking for that Billy the Goat comment on one of your videos because he really broke down a lot of the women or like the way that women um the women shame men just so that they can decrease competition, like
Yeah, and the
just
sad part about that, women do that all the
indirectly.
time. I've said that multiple times in videos. Women
Yeah.
would decrease competition by not having to compete with other women by telling the man that woman's interested in that she ain't shit and she got AIDS or basically allowing this woman to destroy her whole entire character. Women would do that to women and women would do that to the man too. Do that about a man that a woman wants to be with if she wants to be with that man too. She'll say that he cheated on his last significant other and this, that, and the other, and this, that, and he's a dog, and she's willing to. And the other woman's like, oh well, I don't want to date nobody like that. And typically women do that all the time to lessen their chances. And the sad part about that, when women shame men, they only shame men so they can make men feel like they're on their level or below them.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's
Something
typically
else I
how it
noticed
works.
too, a double standard. Like in the Latin community, I'm seen as being crazy or like loco,
Hmm.
but in the Western community, I'm seen as like they're more likely women are more likely to say that I'm gay.
Hmm.
Like
But
so it's like
the
it's like a
sad part about
different.
that is the sad part about that is being loco in a Latin community isn't a bad thing. It
Yeah.
depends on the
No.
context of
It's a
what you're
different.
talking. It depends on the context. If you could be muy loco all the damn time, and sad part about that, women be attracted to your muy loco ass, basically,
Mhm.
and it's true. And it's one of those things where it's like, why are you being called loco? Like a good example, or is it because you're adventurous? Is it because you're willing to talk to two women at the same time
Mhm.
while the other one's sitting right next to you? Like, because I know a lot of Latin men that'll do that shit and then be like, fuck you, bitch. I ain't like you no way. To turn around and talk to the other girl on the other side of him and be trying to spit game while the other girl's sitting there like, are you serious right now? I'm sitting right here. They'll go and turn around and look at this other girl and people will say, oh, that dude's muy loco for that shit. And the sad part about that, it's true. And the sad part about it
Mhm.
is the context on
Yeah, it's
which
basically
you're
because I
being called loco.
said.
And
Mhm.
the sad part about that, a lot of times the men who are calling you loco are the men who actually look up to you the most.
Well, I think it's because in the Latin community, I'm seen more as like unattractive so I get more of the asshole vibes. Whereas like in the American community, I actually have some because when I take care of my look, I'm seen as more attractive, so I get the whole like the nice guy kind
Well,
of
the
you're
sad part
you're
about that,
afraid of
9 times out
women
of 10,
type.
if you're in the Latin community, you're more likely to get a woman in the Latin community than you are being an asshole in the Latin community or perceived as an asshole in the Latin community than you are to just look attractive in the American in the Western world community,
Exactly,
which is
exactly.
sad.
Like being attractive doesn't really even get you anything
No,
unless
no,
you
not
got
really.
in the
It gets you
in the American
because
community.
it's basically being attractive in the Western world is basically like what Biggie Small said: more money, more problems. More attractive, more problems. Basically, that's all it really is. So the more attractive you are, the more problems you're going to have. The least attractive you are, the least amount of problems you're going to have. So I would say to all the unattractive people, be happy that you ain't got all half these fucking problems.
Exactly,
Real shit.
exactly.
Because the sad part about that, shit gets the more attractive you get, the more real shit gets. Because you'll find out very quickly that banging all these women ain't what it is. Because the sad part about there's a lot of these men that are ultra attractive that's walking around here with infected dicks basically
Mhm.
and like full petri dishes of shit between women and other people basically, and they party. And the sad part about that is a lot of people do this shit. And the sad part about that, you worried about being attractive. You should be more worried about not. You should be more worried about not getting a sexually transmitted disease. Because half these sexually transmitted diseases ain't gonna go away no more.
Well, like you said, you can be like, but I'm talking more like the guys who are attractive but aren't sexually attractive to women because they don't have the things that they want. Like
Yeah.
they're a
And the
nice
sad part
guy.
about that, that
They
sexual
look nice.
what Well, the sad part about that, sexual attraction changes based on the situation. Because the sad part about that, a woman can be
Hmm.
sexually attracted to a guy, attractive guy, at like 5 o'clock, but 5:05 rolls around, she's not sexually attracted to the guy because of something he did or said. Then the sad part about that, there might be something else that he did or said that makes her more sexually attracted to the guy. Typically, like I said, when it comes down to it, I'm not the most attractive guy in the world. But if I'm the
True.
minute I'm
Yeah,
putting a
I
gun in
understand.
somebody's mouth, the minute I'm putting a gun in somebody's mouth, or the minute I'm telling the nigga to sit the fuck down and have a drink with me, you ain't finna shoot shit. I become the most attractive person in the room. You see what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
attraction really doesn't mean any damn thing. It's all about what you do and how you carry yourself and the way you come across to people that lets them know that okay, you're not the nigga to fuck with. And the sad part about that, all the niggas at the bar basically know who the fuck I am now, and they don't fuck with me. They'll nod to me like we've been cool the whole entire time. Meanwhile, they've been mean mugging me and talking all this
Exactly.
shit. But they know damn well they can't do that shit no more because I know they bitch ass was hiding behind a bar like a little bitch. So now they're
And
what's up,
they know
Chico?
you'll bring
What's up,
that up
Chico?
to anybody. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That
Oh
mention.
shit, I'm Latino. Hell yeah, I'm bringing that shit up, and I'm gonna laugh in your face while you with a girl too. While you
To
doing it, because I'm
anybody.
a dick.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't give a damn who you
Exactly.
are, a girl, a woman, a guy. It don't matter. I'm bringing it up, and I'm laughing in your face while I'm doing it. And it's simply how it is. It's like you can't really say you're. It's basically what I say about the whole entire flight or flight routine. All these people that say they're gangster until real shit happens. Basically, everybody's gangster until gangster shit needs to happen. Basically, and the sad part about that, you find out very quickly that all these niggas ain't gangster. Like I always say, I'm not afraid to die. If I die, obviously it's my time to go, and that's typically how I treat life. If I'm going to die today, obviously it's my time. If I don't die today, then obviously God got a sixth sense of humor today. That's simply how I treat life. Either I'm going
Hmm.
to die or I'm not going to die. And if I don't die, God got a sixth sense of humor and He got some jokes today, and that's cool. I'm okay with that, God. You can have your jokes. You have your jokes. Just let you know when I get up in heaven, I'm being the laziest angel up there. I'm just being keeping it 100. But it is what it is. But but it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's all about how you carry yourself. Because everybody online acts gangster until they actually meet me in person and they realize, well, maybe I'm not as gangster as him, or maybe I'm not. Maybe I shouldn't open my mouth to him too much. Because the sad part about that, I've dealt with some of the most studio social media gangster people. They see me in person, they want to nod to me and try to dap me up like they weren't talking shit on me on social media yesterday. Well, I'm like, no, nigga, I'm gonna need you to keep that same energy from yesterday, bitch, nigga. Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna need you not to have these double standards. Have the same energy you had yesterday when you were talking all this
Hmm.
shit. Don't be trying to dap me up. Don't be trying to do my friend. Don't be trying to be my friend. Because I deal with all these
Hmm.
motherfuckers on a regular basis. Because I travel around the world a lot, and motherfuckers talk shit up until you show up at their neighborhood. Then all of a sudden they want to be cool with you. They want to dap. What's up? No, 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 nigga. Say what you were saying on the on social media yesterday, nigga. Say what you were saying in my comment section yesterday, nigga. And that's simply how this shit works. Because the sad part about that, this one goofy ass nigga that's a pat bus driver was talking all this shit on the one post, the post that I posted on my Facebook page. And then he see me in person, he want to act cool and shit like that. Oh, now you want to be professional now. Oh, nigga, there's nothing but ear and opportunity. I'll be happy to drag your punk ass off this bus and stomp the shit out of you. Like, nah, nigga, I'm the same person online that I am offline, that I am in my private life, that I am at work. I'll drag you no matter what. Like, I don't give a fuck about no cops. I don't give a fuck about no judges. I don't give a fuck about no jail time. I don't give a fuck about death. And it's pretty much how I am. And people don't seem to get this about me. It's like, well, you're just saying that, Tika. No, I'm dead serious about this shit. Like, we can all die together.
Like, and I don't know. I'm inclined to agree with you. Like, that's kind of what's been hard for me, because it's hard for me to like focus on the here and now when I'm like all I think about is just death all day long. Like, I just think about if I think about like how I'm gonna. I think because it's like it's something that we all think about, fight or flight. So it's like,
yeah, and the sad part about that, you find out very quickly who the real niggas are when niggas start driving behind bars, acting like little bitches, acting more. And the sad part, it's kind of like what I say about the men that walk down the street with their women, and the women are trying to hide. And I'm walking down the street too, and the women's trying to hide behind her, and the woman's trying to hide behind him, or she's clutching his hand stronger. But this nigga's damn near on her back like a backpack and shit like that. Like, this nigga's supposed to save you from me? Really? This nigga's on your back, bitch. That's your big and bad man. Fuck out of here with that bullshit.
And that's what I was getting at with like the
that's simply how it works.
I just typically look at couples like just like shaking my head like and like kind of side eyeing, because I just don't understand why most of these people stay together. Like, I get the whole unattractive thing, being an a-hole is like it's easier when you're not as attractive, but then like the whole protector thing, it's just like it doesn't make sense to me, because most of these people can't bust a grape in a fruit fight.
Yeah, I know. And the sad part about that, even the most attractive men aren't really being assholes. They're just basically they basically just know their options. They're not assholes.
They're just standing by and paying. They just stand by and then
he's basically just playing the game along with y'all goofy asses. He's not an asshole for doing what he does. He's playing the game along with y'all asses, and he pretty much knows his value. And that's simply how it works. So he's not an asshole. He just knows his worth, and he knows his value. What's up, Roddy Dotty? And that's pretty much all it really is when it comes to attractive men. They're not assholes in the least bit. They just basically know their laws. They basically know how the game is played, and they're basically like, you think you're the house, meanwhile he's the house. So it's kind of like what I say about alpha males. Everybody thinks they're alpha until another alpha rolls by and out alphas them for all intents and purposes. Women do this on a regular basis. Women always think they're the hottest person in the room up until they see a guy that's hotter than them. Now he's the house. She's not the house anymore. And it's simply how it works. That's pretty much all it really is. He's basically playing the laws of average, and he's basically playing the game better than you at this point in time. And that's simply how a lot of this shit works. And the sad part about this, a lot of women falls victim to this shit for this reason. Now, I don't really care if you do or not, because I've been always one of them niggas. If a woman come running in the room talk about this man just beat my ass, I'll go, that sounds like I don't do domestics. That sounds like a personal problem, and I'll yell that in a heartbeat. And that's always been like, I don't do domestics. That sounds like you might want to call up one of these other motherfuckers over here to come save your ass, because that's not my problem. And that's literally how I am with women. I don't care what happened to you if you got yourself into that mess. Well, I didn't really get myself. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I know you got yourself into that mess. Therefore, I'm not helping your ass. I don't help dumb motherfuckers, basically. Like a good example.
You can tell a lot of men are trained to ignore men who speak like the truth about the relationship. Like, anytime you try to tell them they got to get out, or it's going in a bad decision.
Well, it's not truth. It's more or less denial. A lot of men are in denial when it comes to truth. It's basically what I say about truth. Everybody likes truth until it's about them. All of a sudden, then it's a bad thing, and you're an asshole, and everybody hates you now. That's
a lot of cases they push it back on me, because it's like they know. Well, like another thing is like
that's because they're in denial. That's why they're in denial.
Mm-hmm.
It's because in their mind, in their eyes, and what they've been taught, it's not true. You're basically in denial. It's basically like an addict that acts like he wants help, but he really doesn't want help. That's typically how that should work. They're basically nothing more than addicts who want your help. Basically, they want to drain your resources and your time, basically, but they don't want to improve themselves.
Basically, pressure to stay in.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's more or less the fact that they're basically like addicts for all intents and purposes. Take an addict, any addict. Basically, when an addict walks up to you with a problem or anything, typically what most nice people do is typically give them money so they can pretty much go handle their habit. The problem is though, what addicts don't like is people who go against them and don't want to help them. So typically, what you're doing, because he's an addict, he's a blue pill addict, you're basically just handing him a bunch of blue pills to keep on being in the now for all intents and purposes. So he's basically just overdosing on blue pills. He's taking the more
Yeah.
red pills you throw at him, the more blue pills he overdose on. That's typically how that shit works. So it gets to the point where he's in so much denial that he doesn't believe you, and you're crazy, and you're loco, and you don't know what you're talking about up until shit happens to him. Then his pride is hurt, but he won't come to you and tell you you're right up until up until way after the facts for all intents and purposes. Is typically how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So hours later, or months later, or years later, he'll eventually come back to you and let you know, yeah, pimpin', you was right. Because men typically don't want to admit when you're right off the bat. They'll pretty much hold on to it. No, this nigga was wrong. She's gonna get back with me. She's gonna get back with me. She's gonna miss me. Then it doesn't happen. Then this nigga come up to you like, nigga, you right. That's typically how it right. And the sad part about it is like he doesn't
But
want
like
to.
what you were saying with the
you
whole
were
Friday
wrong.
Night Blaze, you were like, well, like if she's moved on, you can't say that you were the dominant person in that relationship because otherwise her whole life would be ruined and she'd be alpha widowed and she would be like,
yeah, if that's the
and
case.
like
But the
if
sad
she's
part is,
living
bro,
it up, she's having a good time after you leave, then how can you have had any real influence on
and
her
it's basically what I said about women. Women will react one of two ways. If you actually leave a woman, and it's your choice, she'll be upset by it and she'll want to work it out and she'll want to be with you or travel with you for all intents and purposes. Or if you leave a woman and say, I'm going to move halfway across the country, I don't want you to come with me because you got a lot of stuff going on here. A woman that loves you will literally drop what she's doing and move halfway around the world with you or halfway around the country with your ass for all intents and purposes. And that's simply how this shit works. Because if a woman actually loves you, she'll actually make that move with you. There's no excuses in this world where you can tell me that, well, yeah, I told her that and it was my choice. No, it wasn't your choice. If she stayed and she didn't argue with you about it, it was her choice. She's just basically waiting for you to break up with her so she won't be the bad guy. That's typically how this shit works. So if you broke up with a woman and she didn't respond, she was already broken up with you. She already broke up with you. She's basically waiting for you to pull the trigger on a relationship so she won't look like the bad person in the relationship. That way, when she leaves that relationship, she could go on and say, he left me, this, that, the other, and this, that, and the other, and get more sympathy from another guy. That's pretty much how it works. But a lot of stupid guys like him don't see shit like that, and they think that, oh, no, this, that, and the other. The sad part about that, she's not alpha widow.
Well,
She's not
there's
following
like a
you.
glaring double standard too. It's like if she has to take care of the kids, or she has to cook, or she has to do something, or she has to pick up the slack while he works. That's terrible. But if he has to,
Yeah.
go out of his way to make his job fit their schedule now with their family or whatnot, then he's seen as a good
He's
person.
supposed to. He's supposed to.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
basically how it works. He's supposed to do that. But the sad part about that is, okay, I'm working, you're not. Your job is to make sure the household's okay. How is it wrong for you to be at home, make sure the household's okay if you're not working?
Hmm.
And this is typically the trade-off that women don't seem to understand. Because the sad part about that, the reason why men paid for dates way back when is because it was on a contingency that y'all were going to be in a relationship, y'all were going to be married, and he was supposed to take care of you. You can't have it both ways and be independent, be talking about, oh, he got to pay for all these dates. Well, no, you got a job too. You should pay for some dates as well. And that's simply how I feel about it. If you're a woman, you got a job, you need to break bread on that nigga too. It's that simple. Because I look
Exactly.
at it like this:
And
it's
what you said, you're
equality.
like, I don't want to hear about what your friends have to say unless they're coming over to the house to, suck my
Yeah,
dick
like, and
do
that's
some
pretty much
shit
how I
they
feel
can
about
do
it.
it.
Well, and if your girlfriends, if your best friends, your mom, your dad have a problem with that shit, then I'm gonna need them. I'm gonna need all them motherfuckers to come over and suck my dick and pay these bills. I don't give a fuck. Your grandma, your mom, your aunt, your uncle, your dad. I don't give a fuck. Your mom needs to bend over this fucking couch so I can give her some long dick style. If she got anything to say about what's going on in our household and you not paying any bills, your mom need to catch this long dick style. That's all I got to say on that note. If you don't like that, then fuck off then.
And that's the thing,
If your
like
friend got a
if
problem
you're
with that, I'm gonna need her to bring her ass over here and either pay some bills or lay her punk ass on the bed and get some dick. Or
yeah.
suck some dick, basically. It's that simple. And Yan fell out. It's that simple. So like you can't sit up here and tell me that, well, no, this, that, and the other, and equality. Well, no, yes, equality. If you got a
Mhm.
job and you're a woman, you should be able to break bread on this fucking day. If you don't got a job and you're a woman and you're at home and you're holding down the household and you're doing what you
Yeah,
need to do, then
and
yes,
it's
you
like
deserve to be paid for it and
anybody,
taken
the
care of.
pastor, the football player on TV, the celebrity, her friends, her friend's dog, everybody can have a, but if you're giving her resources, you can't tell her how she can live her life because that's
I
being
know, right?
abusive.
Because the sad part about that, they can all give her advice, but I look at it like this: I don't give a fuck if it's the Pope you talk to. I'm gonna need that bitch ass motherfucker to come over here, sit at the table, and break his bread on my fucking bills. If he wants to say anything that goes on in my fucking household, that bitch better pay some fucking bills. And I said yes, I did call the Pope a bitch. If he got anything to say about my relationship, pay these fucking bills and shut the fuck up and get outside my relationship. That's typically how I feel about it. I treat it like the government. I don't need them in my relationship. Why the fuck do I want you in my relationship? Stay the fuck about my shit unless you're ready to suck my dick or catch this dick or pay these bills. That's pretty much how it
And
is.
how do you explain that kind of like invasive attitude with the whole instant gratification and social media?
Well, the sad part about that is
Because
like,
yeah,
because here's how it works when it comes to shit like that. It's one of two things. One, they want that person in a relationship that's happy in a relationship to be miserable with them, or they basically just want to be able to control another person's dynamic or bedroom, basically. That's
yeah,
all
and
it
the
really
right,
is.
right, and it's like they want, even if it's a bad dynamic, they want still have to they still want to have
Well, no, because
control
bad
over it.
dynamic. The sad part about it is like if you ever notice, if a relationship's going good, everybody has something to say. If a relationship's going bad, everybody keeps their fucking mouth shut. You ever notice that?
I do, yeah, I do notice that
If a
because
relationship's going if a relationship's going downhill, everybody keeps their fucking mouth shut. Maybe one or maybe two people will say some shit. The minute the relationship's doing good, everybody got something to say on the relationship, and everybody got something bad to say about the relationship. That's
or
typically how
like
this shit
yeah,
works.
our homegirl will try to slide in and say and like pull the man out like when it looks like it's getting bad. Like that's as far as
Yeah.
anyone will go.
And the sad part about
That's
that,
true.
women would
Yeah.
do that to other women very quickly. Your best friend is willing to fuck your man. And like the sad part about that, I don't know how many females I done dated whose best friend let me sit over me. You don't deserve this. You deserve better. You deserve a woman that's willing to take care of you and be there for you. That's gonna be your snippet other for. Nah, bitch, get the fuck out of here. I know what you're trying to pull, and it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Like
just so
women
it's
do that.
so hard.
Women will fuck over their own best friends. Hell, I've had girlfriends' moms try to fuck them over. Like that's just thinking. Her mom tried to fuck over her own daughter.
Yeah, one of my exes, like
Well,
like as soon as I broke up, like their mom immediately messaged me on Facebook and it was like, "It was nice knowing you, buddy." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "I'm gonna need you to just like no, like why? Why do you? How? Like first off, how do you know about my? How do you know that we're already broken up? It's like so weird. They're not
She
even
probably
on.
already told him. And the sad part about it, what I'm talking about is like the type of women that'll try to slide in on you while you're with their daughter, while you're actually
Oh,
with her.
the
There's
moms?
some women. Oh, mom, I've had moms try to slide in on me while I was dating her daughter.
Goodness,
Like then I had moms that found out I wasn't dating her daughter, and they try to slide in on me while they're fucking married.
wow.
Like so, like it's one of those things where it's like, come on now, act like you got some damn sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad part about that is, this is the problem with the double standards in the society. Women don't have to have any sense. We excuse women from having any right amount of sense to basically go on and do any stupid shit that they want. We typically excuse them from all we absolve them from all fault or all everything basically because like they're women. We basically treat them like it's the 1950s, like they want to be treated, but we don't treat them like equals. I look at it like this: if you're going to do something wrong, you deserve all the consequences that come with doing wrong. We don't need to coddle you anymore. You're a grown ass woman. You need to take these lumps like the rest of everybody else. So look at it like this: if kids have to take these lumps, women should have to take these lumps. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's funny
Yeah,
how
you're
kids
like
can take these lumps, but women should never have to take these lumps. And
exactly. It
that's
goes.
basically the society of women that we're raising.
It goes again towards competition because like the agendas that's being pushed, like women have to compete with children for the limelight now in terms of like it's just everything has gotten very much out of hand and Like
Oh yeah, it is.
knowing the double standards at least the first step to properly keeping your resolve and your masculinity in check, which is always a good thing. Like that's there's no just if you're being persecuted because you're keeping your masculinity in check and you're maintaining your frame, even though you're being shamed, just know that you're not the source of the issue. It's the women, it's the the feminized men, and if somebody comes in and in the middle of the night and slits your throat because women's you should
Yeah,
be able to rest easy. Like you should be okay dying for a good cause.
yeah, that's true. You should be
Typically.
okay dying for a good cause. And the sad part about that is it's not even a good cause. It's basically a bullshit ass cause because the feelings. And the sad part about that, that's another thing I was going to talk about when it comes to the double standards. Women are okay with putting men against each other, and then on top of that, if you're a man and you break and a woman broke up with you, she makes sure she leaves you when you're at your lowest point. That way, she can feel better than you. The sad part about that, what I've always found funny about women is the man that they leave. The minute they start doing better, that bitch starts looking back. It's just facts. Anytime a man's doing better than a woman that he left, a woman starts looking back. Like he's not supposed to be doing better. Or my favorite is the women that'll sit there and take cheap shots at you on social media or text you and take these cheap shots at you
Or they do
to
the
try to bruise
post
your
like
ego.
whenever
Well,
you
no, it's not
trust
even that.
somebody,
It's
but they never. Oh, okay.
Well, no, it's more or less the fact that they take cheap shots at you just so they can lower your confidence and your ego, basically, and they basically try to shoot you back down to the basement. And that's simply how a lot of these women act. They basically sit up there, they'll take cheap shots at your character, your person, your car, your life, basically, just so they can make you feel less than them. Because the sad part about that, no woman who leaves a man wants a man to do better than them, and or she just basically just wants you destroyed in the basement. And that's simply how it is. But if you do that to a woman, you're a monster. You're an animal. You don't
Right.
deserve to
Like you
live.
don't
You should be in
exactly.
prison. It's rape, it's abuse, it's all this stuff. And it's like, come on now, wait a minute, wait a minute. So it's perfectly fine for you to fuck my best friend in my bed, and I'd be okay with it and be my fault, and me be destroyed for a while. But the minute I start doing good, now all of a sudden you want to start looking back towards me now? Like, think about this
Hmm.
shit. Like, always found that odd when women, because women come monkey branch. Because the sad part about that, women go monkey branching out,
Well, that's the thing.
then they
Yeah,
come
like a
monkey
lot of
branching
these
back when
guys,
you
they'll
start
be
doing
like
good.
a lot of these guys, they'll be like, "Oh, my girl was with me when I was dusty, when I was down and out. I had no job, I had no car, and that's how you know she really liked me for me." But then, I mean, like they could have authentically felt that in the moment, but then at 5:05, now they're fucking your best friend in their bed in your car
Yeah,
or
man.
something
That's
or in
that's
your
typically
bed.
how that shit
Yeah,
works. And the sad part about that is just because she was with you because you were broke, she's only with you because she's seen a potential in you. That's it. That's it. She's only was with you because she's seen a potential in your growth. That's typically why white women or Asian women date black guys. Or as they refer to it in black community, educated lames. Because he had a lot of potential, they seen it in them, and they typically go with them. So the sad part about that is just because she was with you when you was broke doesn't mean she was planning your whole entire life out so she could live free. She basically was planning your life out so she could live carefree. She basically was supporting you, pushing you, making all those meals for you, just so you can live so she can live a carefree life. Because she didn't want to do no shit. Because typically how it works is any woman that's willing to date a black any woman that's willing to date a guy before he gets famous sees the potential in that guy. And the sad part about that is black women don't see potential in guys. They like to see what the guy got right now versus
what
what
do you got
other
right
women
now? They
where
like
they
to see
like
him
to.
come out of pocket and actually provide for you on the
Well, no,
spot. Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like
Hmm.
I don't care that you're going to school to be a doctor. I care about the money right now. I don't want to. I don't give a fuck about the money later. I want the
True.
money right now, and that's simply what black women are in society today. So then you got
True.
these white women and these Asian women and these Arab women that see the potential in a man and they're willing to play that part up until you all the way up until you get there. And the sad part about that, Latina women would do that too. They'll play the part all the way till you get there so they can have a free ride. Because the sad part about that is they know all this work they're
Damn.
putting in right now
Yeah.
is going to pay off in the end. That's typically how a lot of this shit works. Because and men don't seem to get this or understand this when it is. It's look, it is what it is. She was
Uh,
only in it. She's only in it because she gets a free ride at the end, or her ride's going to be much easier than it is right now. So your point is, When she was with you when you were dusty or broken and she didn't have shit, she's only there because she's seen the potential on what she could be doing in her later life. That's it.
Hmm.
She's
Right.
gonna be living easy, eating good, living easy, and be fat. Like a fat cat, basically. That's all she's seen. So she was willing to make it to that goal. It's no different than a woman who don't want to be with a man and marries a man for 10 years and divorces him
Yeah.
the day after the 10-year anniversary, the 10 years that y'all been together. Like, y'all,
Yeah.
let's just say y'all got married on the 14th of this month 10 years ago. She's going to
Or
divorce
like your
you.
average
She's going
man
to
will marry
divorce
a
you.
woman.
She's going to divorce you tomorrow because that's officially 10 years. And that's typically how it works. She's basically waiting out her time to basically grab the bag, basically. That's typically how women are and they act. They're just basically
Yeah.
waiting to grab the bag,
Or
basically.
after he
What's
marries
up, Miss
her, and
Sweetheart?
like he marries the one that accepted him when he was nothing and was there with him, then he's okay when she, gains a bunch of weight and stops really putting out and doing everything. But the moment he starts to gain a little weight, then she starts getting like all pissy at him and stuff, and like,
Yeah, that's
I'm
typically how it
concerned
works.
about you. I want you to be healthy. This kind of like
Like,
nagging
bitch, you
type
ain't
thing.
healthy. What do you mean you want me to be healthy? Bitch, you ain't healthy. And it's simply one of those many double standards you'll get in a relationship. If she's upset that if you can't be upset that she's getting fat, she can't be upset that you're getting fat. It's that simple.
Hmm. You gotta better be comfortable being fat, pudgy people together.
Yeah, for real. Like you got to be comfortable being fat together. That's pretty much how it works. And that's the cold hard truth. It's like
No,
no, you
sweetheart.
can't do
What's
that.
up?
And it's like no, you can't do that. You got to either be or you can't be for all intents and purposes.
Hmm. You either gotta be or you can't be, right? And I mean, you always got women wanting their cake and eating it too, and men are willing to just have no cake and chalk it all up to love or the
Society and love, yeah.
society, the pursuit of happiness, or I don't got anything else better to do. And I do. I would just outro, I guess, with this. It's like, if you are thinking that your work ethic's gonna pull you through a situation with with kids and a family and the nice job and everything, I would just say, think about it like, imagine if your work ethic could just work 100% for yourself and what you could provide for yourself and living the best life that you could possibly provide. Uh, they're gonna shame you, and they're gonna tell you that, well, what else better do you have to do? And to that you should
You should get
say,
married. You should get married because your life will be better if you're married. Well, no, it's not always true. Your life's not always going to be better when you're married. The sad part
and
about
that's
that
what I
is
said.
always talking about
Like when
this.
you get when you go into a job married, they look at, you have a perception of stability. But when you go into a job single, you could have a perception of being changeable, being moldable. You could say, oh, I don't know too much
Or,
about,
well, yeah,
you
you
know,
look like the cool guy that makes money, basically, and you need a partner by your side to take care of you, basically. It's basically how society looks at it. And that's typically how
exactly.
a lot of this shit works. And the sad part about that, people will manipulate you or peer pressure you into finding somebody, or they'll set you up on a bunch of blind dates for no fucking reason whatsoever, just to set you up for your own failure. And that's simply how people are. Nobody wants to see somebody happy, especially a guy. A guy's not allowed to be happy, especially if he's happy
Hmm.
alone. Oh
Yeah,
hell no,
because he
you
has,
can't have a guy happy and
especially the
alone.
fact that he has to go to work. Like I think about young guys right now who are
As I
just
said,
working, working, working. They can't. They have to be put in front of all these women that they work with, and anytime they're perceived or they're witnessed by a man or another woman not trying to be the most appealing person to that woman, then that's like a social credit. That's like goes onto their social credit score.
well,
Basically,
it's
it's
not even
like,
that though. It's more or less the fact that what I was referring to. That's a good point though. But what I was actually referring to is like, is basically like a man's not allowed to be happy, especially if he's alone and happy, because that sets a precedence for all other women to panic for all intents and purposes. Because you're supposed to have a wife and be happy. You're not supposed to be alone and be happy. That's not how this is working. You're not supposed to be like that and be happy. And the sad part about that is what that lets a lot of other people know is if you're happy and alone, then why the fuck am I in a relationship with this heifer? You see what I'm saying? So that actually paints a precedence for all the people in a relationship, all the men in a relationship, that you're supposed to be happy in a relationship, not happy by yourself. And this is simply how this shit works. This is simply how society is set up. Men are only supposed to be happy in a relationship. This is simply why they shame you into relationships or the playboy into a relationship. Basically, well, aren't you sad sleeping alone that night? No, that's something that women are. Women are sad sleeping at home alone, sleeping alone that night. Not men. I can sleep alone. Shit, I'd be happy to sleep alone that night. Stop
well,
playing.
there, and like that's the thing. Their epitome of happiness is like meeting a woman who's gonna be there forever.
And the
It's
sad
like
part about
she
that
never
is
leaves.
there's
She'll
no such
never
thing
leave
as
your
there's
side.
no such thing as forever. There's no such thing as forever. I mean, you might
Exactly.
get lucky, you might catch a forever if you pass away, but typically, I don't really believe in forever. It is what it is. I believe in the same concept as my grandmother. You basically wake up every day and choose to be in love with that person. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. If you can't wake up and choose to actually love that person unconditionally after falling in love with that person a long time ago, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. If you can't fix any problems and you want to take it outside the relationship, you don't need to be in a relationship. It's that simple.
Right.
It's,
If you have any needs that can't be fulfilled by the other person, then it's like it's a redundancy to go to like pursue a relationship because of the fact that one need or two needs or three are being met when you have like a variety of them as a human being. So it's like you have to
and the sad
focus
part
on
about the
that.
and
You
the
should
sad part
focus on
about
that
that
first before you go after some of those ones that another person can fill for you.
and the sad part about that that's so true because the sad part about that is like I remember there's a study that was done on men. If a man is fulfilled in his relationship, he is less likely to cheat than a woman that's fulfilled in her relationship. Like, let that sink in, gentlemen. A man who is fulfilled and is well taken care of in his relationship, sexually, emotionally, mentally, food wise, and everything under the sun, and
Exactly. Like she
supportive
doesn't even
wise,
have to look good.
he's less likely to cheat on a woman in a relationship that's being taken care of well and pampered. Like the sad part about that, how many stories have you ever heard of a man that's actually well taken care of actually cheating on his wife? That was well taken care of, not some fake taken care of, versus the women who would sit here literally would sit here and write op-eds like, I don't know what I done wrong. I cheated on my husband. He's a great guy. He provides for me. He buys me new things when every time I can want for nothing. He gives me sexually everything I want sexually. He's in good shape. He's handsome. He got some money. We have children. We have all this shit.
And he
But
cheated on
I
her.
cheated. But she cheated. Like think about that. But she cheated. But the sad part about that is a man in the same situation, he could even be working, and his wife could be a stay-at-home woman. A man in the same situation is more likely to turn down pussy than a woman in the same situation. Like think about that shit. And the sad part about that is you can't say it doesn't happen because they've already done studies on this shit. The studies are already back for this shit. A man that's fulfilled for fully fulfilled in his relationship is less likely to cheat on a woman who's fully fulfilled in her relationship. Because the sad part about that is women are selfish and women always want more. No matter what you give them, she always wants more. This is typically why I always have this is typically why I always have the stance on if you're going to date a woman, don't take her to the fancy restaurant first. Because the sad part about that, you taking her for that fancy restaurant first sets a
Sets the
precedent,
bar.
sets a
Exactly.
precedence for what you got to do for her next. That's typically how this shit works. So if you're going to sit up here talking about, I'm going to take her to Capitol Grill, I'm going to take her to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse on your first date, though, my homie.
Maestros. Yeah.
On your first date, though, my homie. Like, think about this shit. Why? You're setting yourself up for failure because at the end of the day,
I'm gonna take her to Andrea.
like yeah, the sad part about that, there's only but so many fast star restaurants in your fucking neighborhood or in your fucking state before you run out of fast star restaurants, and she's looking for something even better now. Like think about this shit.
Well, that's the golden simp type chick. I mean, it's like thinking that the
Like
woman's
no,
gonna
don't take
stay
her to no
after
don't take her to no fancy ass restaurant. Like the only way I'm taking a female to a fancy ass restaurant, unless it's
daughter or.
my family members, or it's a
Mhm.
best friend, and I want to see if this restaurant's date worthy. That's it. The, like if I don't deem it worth taking this woman to the restaurant with, then we ain't going to that restaurant. Typically, I only take my friends or family member to the restaurant so I can see if it's date worthy. That's simply how I try out restaurants. So if it ain't my sister, my children, or my best friend, we ain't going to this restaurant because you don't deserve the restaurant because we just met. That's simply how I feel.
That's what's up. I mean, I don't even deserve. Like, I know I deserve. I treat myself like milk. Do not spoil myself, but still, I would never go for.
Yeah, like just because you treat yourself like milk, that don't mean you need to treat her like milk and spoil her. She got to earn
You
that
should
shit.
you should treat her
Like
like, yeah, treat her like a frozen piece of cured meet and just preserve her and don't spoil her ever.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's more or less the fact. I look at it like it's pretty much
That
it's
was
pretty much
bad.
this.
That was a bad analogy.
It's this. I use this concept. Look, um, she wasn't there with you at the beginning. You were there with you
Nope.
at the beginning. So you
Yep.
deserve everything you earn is everything you deserve.
Well, they always say
So
put
if you
your
make the money, you
yeah.
deserve to take yourself out and celebrate making that money. If she wasn't there making the money with you, she deserves to work her. She has to work her way up from little to big
Exactly.
stuff. Basically, like I say, I look at it like this. Look, if I meet a woman, we go out on a date, we going to a fucking coffee house. Fuck what you heard, bitch. We're going to a coffee house. If I deem you necessary, or if I want to date you after this, then we can go to our dinner after the fact of that coffee house. If I don't deem it necessary to want to continue with you, I won't pick you up for a date after the coffee house. That's simply how I feel about it. Like, you're not worth my time. We might as well not even waste each other's time because you ain't worth it. Because I'll take a woman to a date at a coffee house in a heartbeat. Like, just to get to know her. And if I don't like her, or she says something I don't like, or she says some shit that sounds off to me, there won't be a second date. It's that simple. I'll pay for the date, but there won't be a second date. That way I have to drop enough. I don't have to drop a bunch of resources on somebody I'm not willing to be in a relationship with. It was just coffee. Like, think about this shit. Why spend all this money? Why go to a fancy ass restaurant or fuck it? She can't even have Applebee's. She's got to go to a coffee shop. Meet her at a
No,
coffee shop. Get to
Applebee's
know
is
her.
unless it's like a Tuesday, it's going to be really expensive.
Yeah, I know. That's my point exactly. Applebee's, Red Lobster, all those restaurants. She don't deserve that yet. Take her ass to a coffee shop. Get to know her ass.
Now you sound like Alpha M, or not Alpha M, but Darius M. Take her ass out to coffee.
Well, it is
Ask
what it
her.
is.
Then you got
The
to
sad part
ask her
about that,
all those questions. Those
I
how
can't
many
believe
girls are?
I can't believe he actually said that shit. But I agree with him if he actually said that shit. But if he didn't say that shit, and I go back and find out you didn't do, I'm gonna call you a liar. But but
Me?
typically,
No, he said that. He said he's like always buy hot chocolate before, and then she like something like then I always get to the date before, and I just have my hot chocolate. And when she asked me like, well, what are you gonna buy me something? Then he's like, well, no, or I forget what he said,
well, no, it's
but
not even that. It's not even that though. The sad part about that is that's where I start. That's where we start deviating basically, all for all intents and purposes. Because after that, now you're starting to be a slime ball at that point. But the sad part about that is if you ask somebody out, you got to pay for the shit. It's that simple. If you go out on a date, you got to pay for that shit. Unless she asks you out, then that bitch got to pay for that shit. Because I've had many women ask me out, and they have paid for shit after they asked me out, and they weren't expecting me to pay for the shit. Because I know a lot of women will say, "I ask, I pay. If you ask, you pay." I was, okay, fine, and I don't ask. And they always ask me, but I don't ask. But you can take me on, buy me anything you
take a
want,
hoe to the park.
and that's pretty much how it is. It's like one of those things where it's like you basically have to put in work. Basically, it's not one of those because at that point in time, typically what he's actually teaching you is he's not teaching you how to actually be in a relationship. He's teaching you how to just smash and dash. That's all he's really teaching you.
No, I
What
mean
I'm
that's what
telling
I
you
was
is,
thinking. When I
what I'm
think
telling
about
you is,
dating, I think about like
I'm talking about courting.
a girl you want to actually date.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about smashing and dashing because typically that's how it works. Because like we're talking about long term relationships here. We're talking about marriages where men are fulfilled and they don't cheat on their wives, whereas women are fulfilled 100%, 200%, and they
They
still cheat on
still
their husbands. You see what I'm saying?
exactly
I'm talking about long term relationships. That nigga's talking about some short term shit. So what I'm saying
exactly.
basically is, if you're courting somebody and this is how you're doing it, take that bitch to the coffee shop. That's if that's what you want to do. You don't necessarily have to date her, but if you want to get to know a person, take her to coffee. Don't take her to no fucking bar because that bitch is going to be trying to buy some shit that she normally don't drink. Because I look at it like this. Never take her to a bar because 9 times out of 10 she's gonna be drinking some shit that she ain't gonna be buying, that she wouldn't buy in the first place for
I
herself.
was gonna say
You know,
soup plantation. Yeah, I was gonna
yeah,
say
like
something cheap like soup
like
plantation
no,
or
because that bitch might be drinking E&J Monday through Friday, but the minute a man buys her a drink, now she want to drink him Remy, Hennessy, Cavassier, Crown Royal and shit like that. Now
Crown Royal Peach.
she wants to be a fancy bitch and shit like that. Now that the man's buying her a drink, so typically I say don't take him to a bar because why pay for some shit? Why pay for some shit basically? It's basically how I
And
feel about it.
I mean, obviously, never give her a D like right away. Never give her the D if you're courting her, because you know what you want to see how
Well,
she
no,
is before
that's
you
all
do that.
that's all subjective though, because the sad part about that is it depends on how the date goes. If the date goes really well, then do what you do. If the date don't go well, but you're still trying to get D, she's still trying to get D, then she was obviously in it for herself. She basically had an itch that she needed to scratch. If the date went bad, because I know women that actually had bad dates and literally still trying to get the dick. Like, think about
That's
this.
fucked up. That's some double standards. Like if I had a bad date and I was still trying to get in there, and she was just like, no.
Yeah, and the sad part about that, I know women that'll Porsche. They have like a good example is the date that I went on with the one chick. I stabbed the nigga in the hands. Now all of a sudden, now she want to be hugged up on me. Like, no, bitch. Do you want to come upstairs, Tika?
The
No,
hypocrisy.
no, I don't want to come upstairs. I got work in the morning. Well, you can leave from my house. Nah, I ain't got no change of clothes. Well, can't you drive to your house after? No, I can't. I live too far away.
Shut the date down. You always gotta be able to shut the
Yeah,
date
like
down.
no, I've been on many dates where the shit like that's actually happened. It was a bad date. I know it was a bad date. So why the fuck are you trying to give me pussy? Oh, because that incident that happened. Got you. Okay, you're damn right. She tried to get top shelf fancy. Bitch trying to get fancy up in this bitch, basically. And it is what it is. Women will always try to get fancy when a man's buying a drink, but when they buying a drink, they get cheap as hell. Because the sad part about that, I go to this one bar and I watch these women literally do this shit. Like they'll drink the draft specials. Like the draft specials be like $2, $3, maybe $4 where they get a pitcher of beer and shit like that. They'll drink that all night. The minute a man buys them a drink, now they drinking fancy now and shit like that. Now they buying like bottles and shit like that they normally went
Yeah,
back.
they take the deal exactly. The
You
pint.
know, they
That's
taking
messed
bottles and
up.
shit like that. And they taking like drinks and shit that they weren't able to afford in the first fucking place. And that's the cold hard truth. That is the cold hard truth. Like, no, dude, I'm not buying you shit. Don't look at me. Don't look over at me at all. I'm not finna buy you shit. Don't be looking at me like you all cute. No, I don't know you. I didn't come here with you.
Yeah, I mean, once I get out and like get my own spot and then start hitting up the bars and stuff, I am gonna want to be left alone because, yeah, sometimes and I still gotta immerse myself in like sports and stuff too because I really didn't latch on good to that stuff. It is bad right now, but I still like at least want to know something so I can be able to like talk with the brothers about. And like
Yeah,
when it comes to movies and music and stuff, it's like I actually like the resources that are out there on the manosphere because you got like people showing movies, you got Sifu playing all those old music and stuff, and it's just like a lot of the thumbs are the things that we get passionate about get swept under the rug because they're not like exciting enough for her,
yeah, basically. And the sad
and
part
it's
about
just
that
like
is like,
it's
yeah, of
ridiculous.
course I'm right, no, sweetheart. Because the sad part about that is, if you was to try to pull the same move on her after a bad date, you'd be seen as a creep or you're wrong. But she could pull the same damn thing on you after a bad date and want to have sex with you. Like, come on now. Where's the double? How's that not double standards? Then the extra layer of bullshit is if you do take her upstairs, if you do go back to her place with her and have sex with her, and she wakes up the next day and regrets the shit, now you got to worry about an extra layer of bullshit now. So it's one of those.
Me dose.
Yeah, me dose. We'll call it me
Yeah.
dose. Me dose. Y'all know what it is. Me dose. You got to worry about me dose the next morning, basically. And it's like one of those things where it's like she gets way too much out of this shit. Way too much out of this shit. And the sad part about that, even a date like that where you turn her down for sex, that's you can get me dose for a date where you turn her down for sex. Hopefully
Exactly.
you heard her
Or
brag.
you could get,
You know.
or if she's the kind of girl that's just like really frisky and she doesn't want to use a condom, then you say, I want to use a condom or I don't want a nut in you. Then she's like, he raped me.
Yeah.
Like imagine that. Imagine being put in that
Like the sad
situation
part
and
about that,
like
I know a lot of guys who actually use condoms, and a woman didn't want them to use condoms, and he got accused of me too and raping them.
exactly. And it's like brothers are completely oblivious to this, and they're gonna be oblivious to it because they don't recognize that they have a bad. They're getting cut a bad deal. Like
Yeah.
they think all they need to do is just be masculine and
Smash the pussy,
they'll
everything's gonna be all right. The sad part about that, some of the best YouTubers that are that are dating coaches actually got bought up on charges of Me Too allegations already. I ain't gonna say no names, but a couple of them been bought up on Me Too charges already.
wow.
Especially some of the purple pillars that run around here talking all this game. They've been bought up on Me Too. They've been actually charged with Me Too shit. So let that
Well,
shit sink
like,
and let that shit float
yeah,
around your head.
I think so. Like, how would you consider? Okay, obviously, I think I know the answer to the question, but it's like, do you consider the advice that you give out to be MGTOW or red pill? It's more red pill, right? Be honest. It's
Both,
like red
actually.
pill.
It's both because it's about women. Because MGTOW mainly focuses on women and divorce courts and shit like that. So it's actually both. It's mainly red pill stuff, but anytime I speak, it's going to be MGTOW shit, and it's going to be real shit that's going to hit you in the chest and make you feel shit.
Mhm.
You may not like it, but it's going to always make you feel some type of way. And like I say, I'm not here to please you or make you happy. I'm here to tell you what it is. If you don't like it, you're not gonna. I'm not always going to say shit that you're going to 100% ride with. But the fact of the matter is, what I'm going to say is always going to be the truth that needs to come that you need to hear. I'm not going to say shit that make you feel good all the damn time. I'm not always going to bash women. I'm going to say
Well,
shit
that's
that actually makes
that's.
you feel shit that make you think
Mhm.
about some shit. If you actually have an open mind, if you have a narrow mind, you get mad at me. That's your problem. That's not my problem.
Yeah, man. Well, man, I probably got to get going here, but I'll just reiterate my points. Don't give her your work ethic. Always keep that to yourself. Um, and if you're kind of like a loose planner like me, be be close. Yeah, be close to your finances and stuff. Treat your money like you would your own baby.
True.
Because
The
in
sad part about
MGTOW we probably don't have a lot of kids flying around, so you kind of have to like look at it as it is your baby, because that's
basically, yeah,
that's
and
that's
it's
what it is.
basically treated very secret. It's basically what I said in that one live stream. I mean, that one podcast where I said, only thing she need to know about you is your age, your favorite color, your name, and what kind of food you like. That's it. She don't need to know any other fucking information. Let that bitch find that shit all about her damn self. That's just facts. The more information you give her, the much more easier it is for her to take advantage of you. So
Hmm.
if it ain't your age, if it ain't your favorite color, your favorite number, or your favorite food, and your name, that bitch don't need to know shit. So if she asks you what you do for a living, don't even answer that question. Tell her it's a personal question, and she on a need to know basis. Basically, that's only the first date. I'm not fin to answer that. I'm not fin to answer no questions on a first date. You got to have a second date or a third date to get those types of answers. So basically, tell her your favorite color, your name, your favorite number, what your favorite food is, and that's it.
That's it.
Or your age. That's it. Keep the rest of that shit to yourself. Keep it close to your chest. Fuck that bitch.
What about stuff about her? Like, what do you suggest we ask her?
You basically ask her the same question she's asking you. And the sad part about that is she bring up the question of what you do for a living. I always look at it like this. We at this restaurant, aren't we? Obviously, I can afford it. Why are you asking me what I do for a living? That's a personal question. And that's typically how I am with women. Like, why is this question coming up? How much do you weigh? Because I'll ask a woman in a heartbeat. She asks me what do I do for a living? I'll ask her how much you weigh. Now, is that wrong? Yeah. Society, and societal purposes, it's all wrong. I shouldn't do that.
Oh,
However,
what about certain things that you should know
she can
before
ask
you
me
go
how
out on
much
a
what I
date?
do for a living. Ask me to ask her how much you weigh.
Mm. What about before you go on a date? Like, what are some things that you should
Well,
ask her?
well, you should basically ask. You should basically be able to clear. Because the sad part about that, before you go on a date is a nice way to start clearing up some shit and start seeing some red flags. So you got to ask the important questions basically
Before?
before the date. So she can't even ask you what you do for a living before the date. That's off the table. That's for what second, third date basically when she can start asking you what you do for a living. Second, third date. That's it.
Gotcha.
Stay mysterious until the second or third date basically. Because the sad part about that is women think they get a complete picture of men on the first date, and the sad part about it, a lot of them do,
Because they be
but a lot of
giving
them
it to
don't.
them. Yeah.
But the sad part about that, you giving up way too much information, nigga. I'm gonna need you to keep that close to your chest, like it's poker, nigga. She don't need to know your hand. If you don't know her hand, if you don't know nothing about her hand, why you divulging your hand? You basically trying to give the game to her right now. Like, don't do that shit. Keep that shit to yourself. Keep that shit close to the chest and to yourself. Don't be giving her no information about you. She don't deserve that information about you. Treat it like you the CIA or the FBI. She on a need to know basis. Second, third date material. You want to know what I do for a living? We got to make it to date 3 or date 2. Have some fucking standards. Just
You
don't
have
be
to pay,
divulging all the information to her.
and you have to pay for
Make
all
her,
three
make
of
her,
those.
make her need to want more, basically.
True.
Because if she wants to know what you do for a living, that bitch need to make it to date 2 or date 3.
Wow, man. All right. That's a lot to process. I'm gonna have to think on that for a minute and get back to you with some
This
results.
guy.
Might have to post a Chronicles of AJ, some Chronicles of AJ videos, or some of that shit, you know. But yeah, it's nice to have these talks, bro, and always appreciate it. And yeah, I may like sound like silly sometimes, but you know, it's all because I'm just trying. I'm just learning. I'm just
Yeah,
learning.
it is. What do you say? I hear both and black pill when I listen to Tico. So he hears MGTOW, red pill, and black pill when he listens to me. That's interesting.
Who said that?
Oh, no, sweetheart.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. But it's like, yeah, I mean, Double I once said it. He's like, you're not even properly blue pilled because, like I said, I got a lot of the info right out of college, and I had already broken up with my ex, so it was kind of like,
He's like,
you
bye,
know,
bitch.
I was like, bye,
And I got
bitch.
my
And I was
degree.
like, yeah, exactly.
Dan was like,
Like
bye,
you
bitch,
got
my degree.
you got your degree too, so it's like it's not like you can complain like I left you high and dry because you probably got yours too. So
Mm-hmm.
you ain't got to
I'm
depend
willing to
on a
bet you
nigga
got
for
Phil.
shit.
I'm willing to bet she got hers from a lot of other people that was in that college too.
Got hers? What do you mean? Got
Got
hers?
hers while she was in college. She got her hers too.
Oh, her
By
other
another
hers.
guy
That's
in
what I'm
college as
saying.
well, or she probably was looking
Exactly.
at some. Yeah, so yeah, it
Yeah,
is
she
what it
had
is.
to be. Yeah. She had her fun. So I'm about to have my fun, and it is what it is. But
All
like,
right, y'all have
yeah,
we
we can
got to do an
call.
outro.
Yeah. Baron Yam. You know who this is. If you think that it's over, bro, then this ain't the channel for you. Unsubscribe. Because it ain't ever over. We always winning in this channel. And shout out to No Sweetheart, Seafood, Psyche Soap,
and Roddy Dottie.
and Roddy Dottie on the other
Oh,
channel.
and MGTOW to win on another channel too, because everybody was spread out on different channels on this chat
Oh, yeah.
basically.
Absolute MGTOW in the win, D. You're the best, man. You're the best, D.
Yeah, yeah, because apparently people are watching it on the race relations,
People
gender
watching,
relations
man.
channel,
The
and people are
manosphere
watching,
is
and
hot.
somebody's watching on the black pill, red pill channel, and some people are watching it on the Tico Trend red pill channel, but they all got different titles.
Yeah, Double Standards Truths, and then the other one is Baron and Sadist.
Yeah, this one's Baron and Sadist. If you're watching it on this channel, it's Baron and Sadist Double Standards. If you're watching it on the Tico Trend race and gender relations channel, it's gender and political standards, basically double
And
standards. And
oh yeah, and you guys, I definitely doing the assistant professorship for Tico, so I want to see a 500-word essay from every single person that was listening about how this
no, you
relates
didn't. Yeah,
about
no,
how
it's
this
not that
relates to the
serious.
about how this relates to the political situation and the double standards that we saw in the debate with Kamala Harris and Pence. All right, guys, 500 words. Ready?
500.
And
Wow, this
and it
nigga.
will and we will all be asked on the next either table flip or 500 or Friday Night Blaze. So just be ready. You guys got a week to write 500 words. Okay. Well, you guys have a good night. I'm gonna leave this. Bye, Tico. Have a good night.
You also. It was a pleasure. Like, it was a pleasure as always.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody have a good night. Be blessed. Take care of yourselves. Treat yourselves like milk the number. Spoil yourself. Always become a better version of yourselves, and always do better by yourself. And always be willing to improve upon yourselves and make yourself the better version of yourselves. And basically, just always keep an open mind and pay attention to your surroundings and keep your wits about you and keep your situational awareness about you. Y'all be blessed and have a good night. It's always a pleasure serving the community and the philosophy. Y'all be good now. Y'all hear? Y'all be good now. Y'all hear?
Y'all
And
be
y'all
good
come
now.
back
You
now. You
hear?
hear?
Yeah, come back
Y'all hear?
now.
Come back now. Y'all hear?
You'll hear the dinner bell ringing, and then you guys will know it's time. We eat. All right.
Yeah, y'all have a good one because I gotta go eat my damn self now.
Good
Y'all be blessed. Peace out.
night.
Let's be
Bye.
hurt. And everybody else in the chat, Dottie Roddy, no Baron Yam for showing up in the chat randomly, Elder, Sifu, Psyche Soap, and MGTOW on the Win for showing up earlier in the chat. Y'all be blessed and have a good night and be safe, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure serving the community and the philosophy. Y'all be blessed.
Yes.